he speaks in the book about installing the cameras for the Amazon documentary and how it impacted the team. And he says the tensions that would only grow following a decision by the club that would affect the team's day-to-day lives, a decision made without the consent of either the squad or the manager to install cameras everywhere for Amazon's series about Spurs. In light of the sum mentioned, around about £10 million, we wondered whether whose season and activities would be affected. All those asked to mic up each day would get a cut. The answer wasn't slow in coming in, as no. So when the film crew placed little microphones on some of the canteen tables, we went and sat at other ones. We had to be careful at all times. The only place where we could speak freely was the training dressing room. We got them to agree that would remain out of bounds. Otherwise, they had mics and cameras everywhere, even at some practice sessions, which was no small matter. It was a constraint, and it had consequences. It's really interesting because obviously the Amazon documentary was started at the end stages of Pochettino, and then it kind of drifted into Mourinho. And I bet you both Mourinho and Poch were probably really fuming at that.
Well, I think it's disgraceful to agree to something like that when it's going to basically exploit the privacy of the players and the manager and all that kind of stuff without their permission. And obviously, they're not doing it without them knowing that, but they're telling them this is happening, deal with it, kind of thing. And that is no way to treat who are the people who are the most important people at this football club, who are the players and the manager and the people who who have to perform on the pitch every single week, and they have to entertain the fans. They have to be in front of the media when things go wrong. They have to put in performances to win high-level football games in the Premier League, and to just treat them like that, like not even involve them in the discussion whether this is happening. Are you okay with this? Like, do you think this is something that you wouldn't mind happening? Is it something maybe you'd look forward to being involved in? Is it something you'd enjoy? Just saying, this is happening, deal with it. There's going to be cameras in the room, and we're getting paid 10 million, so you're just going to have to suck it up. Like, that is classic Levy, to be honest, and it's something that is a disgrace. That is, I think you should, if you're going to do it, you sit the manager and the squad down. You say, this is what we're thinking of doing. We think it's a really exciting program. I think the viewers will love it. The fans will really get to know you a bit more, get to know your personality. But we're only going to go ahead with it if you guys are okay with it, and if you guys are happy to be on camera in all these intimate moments, and you guys are happy for these one-on-one meetings for Mourinho to be shown on TV, and are you happy for your conversations in the canteen to be broadcast to millions of viewers? If you're okay with it, we're going to go ahead with it. But if you're really not comfortable, then we won't do it. And that's the conversation you need to have. But clearly, they didn't have that. Laurie says there, they basically signed up saying, we're doing a documentary, all of this is going to be recorded, and you're just going to live with it. And I think that is no way of conducting yourself, in my opinion, because it's going to rub people up the wrong way, if anything.
Of course it is. There's no way to run a football club where all your players and all your staff and the management and everyone have to walk around eggshells around the training centre, around the canteen, around everywhere, apart from in one spot. Imagine everything. They used to just probably sit silence for the whole time they're there, and then as soon as they get in the training ground dressing room, then everything comes out.
Well, you look at it, you think Hugo's obviously very well in a good place to say this, because obviously he's the captain, so I'm sure the captain, manager, chairman meet and have those meetings. But he says himself about not being in the changing room. Well, I clearly remember Dele Alli going mad, and when Eric Dyer's brother, and they had that big bust up about losing to Norwich. There's also when Heung-min Son and Hugo have that falling. It's like you come into work that we've all had a go at managers, or people have a go at managers for saying everything out, and they say you do it in private, do it in private. Yeah, when it's the owner of our football club doing it and talking to the players, there's nothing at this football club. Yeah. It makes me laugh. I mean, like you said, for the players to feel that anti about it and still feel like they're just what you feel is irrelevant, it's just horrible, isn't it?
Yeah, it is horrible.
It's just going to make them feel resentful about it. And especially you don't involve them in the discussion. If you involve them in it and you say, look, we're thinking of doing this and we are going to do it, but we would love your input. Like, we want to know what you're comfortable with, what you're not. But it seems like that conversation didn't happen. It was just, this is happening all when you're not involved in the conversation. They're the ones who have to be front and center of the documentary, and they're not involved at all about whether they are happy about this happening or not. And that is no way to run that kind of operation.
Making Tottenham Hotspur into a sitcom when none of the actors are paid or none of the actors are giving their consent to it as well. It's just madness.
Well, you look at when Hugo has said, if we saw the cameras and the mic set up at this table, which
We'd
would
go
have been
to
the table
another
they sit at, and you know it's all about routine and I sit here, they go and sit in another place, like say, listen, we're not comfortable with this, and still it doesn't matter.
Yeah, really disgraceful, to be fair. Then he speaks about what went wrong with Antonio Conte and admits that his obsessiveness with winning made things very complicated. And he says, I found Antonio Conte to be quite a character driven by victory, which gave him energy, but he found it very hard to control his frustration when we started drawing, let alone losing, because his inner torment had to get out. And if he was tormented, then everyone had to share his torment too. And things could get very complicated very fast. He told me once that in any given week, his happiness lasted an hour just after winning, and that was it. In training, he oversaw everything, organised tactical sessions with 10 outfield players against 1 goalie, but it was hard for the creative players to find their place in his restrictive gameplay. His rigidity of the structure and set sequences did us a lot of good at first, but after a few months, teams learned how to play against us and it became tougher to win. During matches, Conte was extreme and eruptive. As he appeared, garnering respect and fear. Such a strong personality pushed wingers to prefer to play on the side opposite the dugout. That's mad, isn't he? Just get as far away as from.
That's what Hazard said he used to do. He said he used to swap wings whenever Conte was on, because he just didn't want to be on that side.
And he says, I've never forgotten about our first defeat under Conte, a 2-1 loss to NS Mura in Slovenia in the UEFA Conference League. Even though I wasn't playing, I was still entitled to his screams and reapproaches just like everyone else. In the squad meetings, we would spend at least 30 minutes a day doing a video analysis, not forgetting the intermittent preparation camps at our training centre. After the defeat in Maribor, he screamed, Mura! Mura! Who's Mura? We lost to Mura! I can still hear him now. If a player needed a little love, he'd better not knock at Conte's door, for Conte trust is earned in training. He has no filter. He's sincere and honest. He's a manager who lives only by results, whereas from a player's perspective, performance is important too. That season, when we lost 3-2 to Manchester United, the Ronaldo hat-trick, a result which didn't reflect our performances, I told Pierre-Emile Højbjerg and Harry Kane in the dressing room, they may have just beaten us, but I bet you we finish above them. And so we did, ending up in 4th place and battering Arsenal 3-0 on the last day, situating ourselves halfway between Conte's demanding nature and a little self-management, because by dint of being whipped and screamed at, we eventually stuck our fingers in our ears. So they stopped listening to him after a certain time.
Which is never a sustainable thing. And that maybe indicates why it fell apart really in his second season. And
that's probably like the way Conte's career has gone under every kind of thing. Like, you can only listen to someone screaming at you for so long, I guess.
But he does get results. And even at Tottenham, he got results. And it did fall apart in the second season, maybe because we didn't, you look at the team we needed to improve on, and he was given Longley, and I mean, Bastuma's a good player, but didn't quite fit what he wanted to do, and Richarlison as well, didn't quite, had injury problems, and he didn't quite fit what maybe he wanted or and stuff like that. So, and also we still had Sessegnon, and we had Doherty and Emerson at wing backs as well. That these aren't ever going to be players that can push you on to kick on from that 4th place finish that he did. Look. And the fact of the matter is, he kept us competitive for 4th in that second season, whether we like it or not. Maybe we wouldn't have got there even if he stayed on. But with 8 games to go before he got sacked, we were right in the mix, and that's a fact.
It's never where he wanted to be.
That's the thing. That's why he exploded.
Yeah, when we finished 4th that season, he was fully expecting to get players ready to push on for a title challenge.
Yeah.
He didn't want to compete for 4th again. He'd already done that.
Correct. And that's, and you can see what Hugo's saying there, his insatiable appetite for winning and improvement and competing. and he's only going to be happy when we get the results. And that's why even in the second season we weren't playing well in a lot of games, but we were getting results for a lot of the time. But we weren't getting good enough results to keep us, in contention for what he really wanted, which is a title. And that was never going to be a situation which was acceptable to him, which is why he exploded at the end.
Yeah. Any takeaways?
Yeah, no, there's a lot. I mean, obviously, when he's saying about the shouting and screaming, demand, it's very much with these Spurs players. It's the carrot or the stick treatment, isn't it? And if they're expecting love, as he said, after losing to Mura and all these, what were they expecting? I'm sure they got love after beating Arsenal 3-0 that you mentioned. What's it? If you look at it, he comes in and gets results. He does it his way. And again, it goes back to what we're saying, Mourinho. He's had winners, leaders that can sort this out. And we didn't have them in that squad. I love him or hate him with Conte. He got the job done. And remember, as you said, with that getting fourth, that's when we also announced we're going to get that £150 million war chest, and we're going to make a real surge and go mad with signings of quality, which didn't quite work out, those signings. But it's really the carrot or the stick treatment. And listen, Conte was in a good place for us. People may say the football was not the best. Was it because it's Conte's style? Was it because of the quality of players we had?
But it was good in the first 6 months.
First 6 months, we could have said when we got fourth, we were outstanding.
Yeah, we were battering teams and playing fast,
direct
football.
We went to Leicester, Man City, all of that.
Some really great football then.
Incredible. With Kulusevski and Bentancur coming in. But then when push come to shove and the times got rough, he didn't have the people to bend on, did he?
Conte was recently speaking about it, saying that he achieved the max he could with Tottenham. And I mean, I couldn't agree more. I mean, the way he got us to finish fourth that season was nothing short of a miracle. Yep. Like, when he came in, we were in such a bad way, weren't we? Like, a terrible way. Yep. I think where were we? Like 8th, 9th, something around.
Probably low. I don't know. But look, we were just not creating chances. We were losing 3-0 every week under Nuno. Yeah. Kane was, looking to leave, and he was playing awfully. Yeah. Like, it was just a disaster all around. Like, the only signings we'd made that summer, like Brian Hill, and I guess we had signed Romero, but he hadn't kind of acclimatized yet to the Premier League, and we were a mess when he came in, absolute mess.
And the manner that he got us to finish in the top 4, smashing Arsenal at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, ending hopes of their dreams of making a return to the Champions League in the first time in a long time. I mean, the manner that we got top 4 that year was brilliant, wasn't it?
Fantastic.
But yeah, it all fell apart in the
But I agree,
season.
he did get the maximum in terms of results-wise. I don't know about performance-wise, but results-wise, he probably did get the maximum out of this team, especially in his first season. He definitely did. Second season, the performances weren't really good, but the results were not horrific. They really weren't. And we were competitive for probably what we should have been in that season, which is a top. We ended up finishing 8th because after we sacked him, we fell apart completely. We ended up losing I think 6 of our last 8 games, getting battered by Newcastle, Liverpool. We lost to Liverpool, we lost to Brentford. Like, horrible defeats, and even worse performances than we were seeing before. But while Conte was in charge, yeah, the performances were hard to watch, but the results were still not bad, keeping us competitive.
And again, another manager who's felt the fate of Daniel Levy in his tenureship here at Tottenham, because if he was given what he needed, he probably would have gone and won the title. Yep. Or very close to, anyway.
I mean, Liverpool and who was going for the title then? It was City and Arsenal, I think, that season, wasn't it? I don't know if he would have beaten City to the title, but maybe.
Was it Arsenal?
Yeah, it was Arsenal that year. That was when they were 8 points clear with 5 games to go, and they bottled it.
Maybe we wouldn't have actually won it, but I think we would have been up there.
We could have been up there, because especially when you have Kane and Son and all, when you have those players, we just need to build the team around them.
Yeah. And he just wasn't given what he was needed. Once again, you bring in a winning manager, like we said under Jose Mourinho, and you just bring in players like Clement Longley and stuff like that. It's just nowhere near good enough. And Brian Hill actually came in under Nuno, didn't he? Yes. But I guess we had Coutinho Romero. That was a good sign. That was also under Nuno.
I think we signed Pape Sarr.
I'm saying what's important for Conte is those centre backs and those wing backs, and we had Dyer still playing regularly, Sanchez, Longley, Sessegnon, Doherty, Emerson. All these players who have to be they're very important players in this system. And I know we got Porro, but I think Porro played a couple of games before he left.
Porro was signed in January.
Yeah, like he played. I think Conte had him for only like 2 or 3 games, and then obviously he had a difficult start against Leicester, but then he got sacked. So like in key positions, we just didn't have players that were fit for purpose.
Yeah, I mean, if you give Conte this back five we have now,
Yeah, he might probably does a lot better.
Laughing. He's
Yeah.
absolutely laughing with this back five, but it wasn't to be.
No.
Yeah. I've said it many a time. I would love to see a Spurs Conte team with the squad that we have now because I think that we would absolutely smash it.
Probably.